Coming up on this edition of Southwest TV News. A court case and police investigation continues against 39-year-old Ryan Chamberlain of Cabri. 30-year-old Cody Bender of Swift Current made his first appearance before the judge on Wednesday. Monday evening was a time for reflection as the Chinook School Division discussed the past year's achievements during the board's AGM.
The Swift Current Broncos' March 21st victory over the Lethbridge Hurricanes has secured their berth in the postseason.
Thanks for joining us here today. A number of cases were on the Swift Current Provincial Court docket this week involving individuals from Cabri and Gull Lake. We have more in today's top story.
It was another busy week in Swift Current Provincial Court, with a number of high-profile cases on the docket. A court case and police investigation continues against 39-year-old Ryan Chamberlain of Cabri. The case surrounds Chamberlain's initial arrest on February the 26th, and now re-arrest on March 20th for additional charges, following the ongoing police investigation. Chamberlain, who was again released on strict conditions, now faces numerous criminal charges, including invitation to sexual touching, sexual interference, sexual exploitation, and corrupting children. Following a brief discussion on the matter both Monday and Wednesday by the Crown and Counsel in Swift Current Provincial Court, the case is now adjourned until April the 6th. Chamberlain did not personally appear in court this week and was only represented by legal counsel on his behalf. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan RCMP are continuing their investigation into the case, as Chamberlain was a hockey coach in Cabri, with work extending into several communities across southern Saskatchewan. Anyone wishing to offer further information on this case is asked to contact the Saskatchewan RCMP General Investigation Section. In other court news, a case against a 36-year-old Gull Lake man has also been adjourned. The accused in this case cannot be named as to protect the identity of the child victim. The case stems back from February, when the accused was charged with offering marijuana cookies to a 20-month-old boy, who later suffered extreme seizures and was hospitalized. The accused is facing a string of criminal charges, including criminal negligence causing bodily harm. His case will reappear on the Swift Current Provincial Court docket on April the 20th.
Attempted armed robbery charges were presented to the judge in Swift Current Provincial Court on Wednesday. We have more in this report.
30-year-old Cody Bender of Swift Current made his first appearance before the judge on Wednesday. Bender pled guilty to all three charges in connection with the attempted armed robbery of the Bulk Barn in the Wheatland Mall on Monday. His guilty pleas included the attempted robbery at Bulk Barn, the intent to commit the robbery while concealing his identity, and breaking probation. According to the details addressed in the courtroom, Bender walked into the Bulk Barn around 5 o'clock on Monday afternoon. He came up to the counter with a box of spaghetti and proceeded to pull out a steak knife and demanded money from the cashier. The cashier asked if he was joking, and the accused said yes, no, maybe, and then ran out of the store in the direction of the neighboring Giant Tiger store. The 911 call was placed to the RCMP, and the arrest was made the following day. And following the courtroom proceedings, the judge released Cody Bender on strict conditions, including keeping the peace, not having any contact with the staff of the Bulk Barn, or entering the Bulk Barn store itself, participate in a rehab program, not have any weapons of any nature, and not enter any business that serves or sells alcohol. Cody Bender will be back in Swift Current Provincial Court on May the 25th for sentencing.
The Chinook School Division continues to be a leader in the area of education, and those achievements were in the spotlight during its annual general meeting.
Monday evening was a time for reflection as the Chinook School Division discussed the past year's achievements during the board's AGM. 2014 included a number of highlights across the division, including the centennial celebration for Wymark School, the grand opening of the new École Centennial School, marking the first new school open for Swift Current in over 40 years, and a royal visit, making for an exciting autumn for students and staff. A number of benchmarks were also achieved by students over the past year, with an increase of 11% meeting or exceeding expectations in math, and continued success in the balanced literacy program. Overall success rates, which the Director of Education hopes to instill for future generations, while exceeding provincial benchmarks.
We've really tried to foster a culture of continuous improvement in Chinook, and I think one of our mottos is that if we're not going forward, we're going backwards, and so we're always looking at ways to enhance what we are doing. And in some cases, again, in this fiscal reality we're in, are there ways that we can improve what we're doing in a different way that is maybe a more efficient and effective way?
Chufu adds the division is also evolving to meet the needs of newcomers to Canada and the Southwest, with an increase in ESL students noted year over year.
We have schools in the rural areas, surprisingly, that are up over 20% of their population as EAL. And what we're able to see is some of the other older students are able to help some of the younger students with those languages. We're also investing in some different technologies like Rosetta Stone, like translators, to be able to address the needs that come with a growing population like that.
Meanwhile, on a financial front, the previous year was positive for the Chinook School Division, with overall revenues of $97.3 million versus expenses of $88.6 million. Expenses, which range from instructional costs to new school construction, which eventually put the division 1% over their original budget plans.
A part of that would have been accommodated under the projected surplus that we had, $560,000. And the rest we would draw from our reserves if we had to, but we did end up with a surplus. So generally, I'm happy if I'm within 2 or 3%. To be within 1% was very good.
The Chinook School Division is the second largest in Saskatchewan, covering 40,000 square kilometers and 62 schools, while encompassing 6,000 students and over 1,000 staff.
Hopefully that as we hear the stories and see the stories of how people are giving for good, how people are affecting positive change, we'll be able to then reflect on our own lives and see indeed, what can we do to give for good? And even more than that, what are we doing to give for good? What are we doing to affect change? And as we notice that in our lives, I think we will find that we are our own inspiration to even give more for good, to affect more change. And as we see what people are doing, I mean, many times it'll be, hey, that's something that, I saw somebody doing just that. Or you know what? Something similar to that happened in my life. You know, what they did for that person, somebody did for me so long ago, and that's inspired me to do this, and the next thing. So I think the give for good thing, the inspiration behind it and the motivation for each of us to actually take a look at ourselves, see what we are doing for good, and to draw inspiration from that to give for good even further, I think that's a whole big part of it.
I played for the Swift Current Broncos for a short year and a half. It was unbelievable. I met new people that I became great friends with. Putting on a WHL jersey, semi-pro, it's pretty unbelievable just to make it to that goal. It was in practice, just a whole bunch of pucks were scattered on the ice. One of my best buddies stepped on the puck. I was on the boards talking to a coach. He slipped, fell, took out the back of my legs, and I ended up falling back, hit my head. At first, I thought it had just been a normal concussion. I was treated by many doctors. I was sent to Calgary many times to see neurologists. Couldn't really figure out, they just kept saying it's a timeline, a waiting game. It's been ongoing for 4 years now, I believe. Still have the symptoms, headaches. Dizziness has gone away in the past few months, but biggest thing is my headaches, about 4 years now. Well, at this point, right now, I am in training to be a personal trainer, which I'm very happy to be, making people's lives healthier, fitter, and better. In addition, I became a businessman for health and wellness product called Kyani, which also ties into my personal training because it is a wealth product that will also make you healthier and even feel more energetic. And I personally myself am a user, feel active, I feel more energetic than I ever have. I've used it to finishing my course, to going to the gym, to just going for walks. I feel motivated to do anything. It's just basically made me a more happy person.
In the town before, there was 2 different clinics working out of 2 different separate buildings. So having that all under one roof, it's all a benefit to the patient.
As the Swift Current Broncos head into the first round of the WHL playoffs, Southwest TV News caught up with Coach Mark Lamb for a recap of the season.
It took all 72 games of the WHL regular season, but the Swift Current Broncos' March 21st victory over the Lethbridge Hurricanes has secured their berth in the postseason. Edging out the Moose Jaw Warriors for 3rd place in the East Division, the Broncos have drawn rivals the Regina Pats in their first round series, who finished 2nd in the division and 5th in the conference. Coach and general manager of the Swift Current Broncos, Mark Lamb, knows that his team is walking into a real battle against this young Regina squad.
I think it's going to be a great series. I think we stack up very well against them. Not saying that we're going to go out and win, because it's playoffs and anything can happen. And you look at their team and you break it down and you try to do your matchups. There's not a big advantage anywhere for them or us.
One of the keys to any team in the playoffs is the goaltending. And while Landon Bowe is still a new starting goaltender in the league, his growth has been obvious, backstopping the team to a franchise record-setting 7 shutouts this season.
He's a young guy. He's never been a starting goaltender before, except this year, and he's learned a lot. There's been a lot of ups and downs. He's played very well, but he's had a lot of ups and downs that he has to learn to overcome, and I think that he's done that.
While some of the younger players have been receiving more responsibility on the team, the Broncos were dealt more than one crushing blow this season, losing top defenseman Julius Honka to the AHL and Dylan Hetherington to injury. Despite these setbacks, other players were able to step up and play through the adversity.
Max Lajoie, who's a young guy, we knew he was going to make our team. He could have made our team last year, but we just had some depth. And Brett Lernout, he's taken all kinds of stride. He got Defenseman of the Year on our team. Dylan Hetherington is the top D on our team, but he went to the World Junior, and then he come back and he missed 20-some games for us. It was a big hole to fill. So not only did we lose Honka, then we lost our other top D in Hetherington for quite a while. So we had guys come in and step up. We had older guys like Folk and Nickel that had to take more ice time, and our depth really showed.
It's been a difficult season, but the Broncos have managed to hold on and make it into the playoffs. Especially after a late season 7-game losing streak, Lamb feels confident entering the playoffs on a positive note.
We won 4 of our last 5, and we needed to win those games to make the playoffs. It was a tough battle the last month. We went through a 7-game losing streak. We were fairly comfortable in a playoff spot, but in this game anything can happen. And when you go through a bad streak, you never know when it can end. And we had to play good down the stretch to get in, and playing good when you're going into playoffs is something that you want to be able to do. You want to be going in on a positive. I think the negative part of the 7-game losing streak really turned very quick. Now that you look back at it, it wasn't easy at all, but we're going into playoffs with a good frame of mind.
Games 3 and 4 will be played in Swift Current at the iPlex, March 31st and April 1st.
Well, this wraps up another episode of Southwest TV News, reporting the stories that matter to you. We always welcome your news tips. You can always reach us here by phone at our studio or by email to contact us at southwesttvnews.com. Also, be sure to join us daily online for the latest news from across Southwest Saskatchewan and so much more at MyLocalTV.ca. And be sure to follow us on a range of social media. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm Carol Andrews.